Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Bengals Breakdown here on Bengals.com. I'm Dan Hoard. He is Bengals.com editor Geoff Hobson. And this week, it's the Bengals and Cardinals at Paul Brown Stadium. Two of the 6 teams in the NFL still looking for that first victory. The Bengals trying to get it at home for first-year head coach Zac Taylor. It did not get any easier with the news this week that John Ross is going on the injured list with a shoulder injury. He was having a great year, on pace to have more than 1,300 receiving yards. They do hope to get him back before the year is over, but in the meantime, without A.J. Green and without John Ross, it is incumbent upon some of the young receivers to contribute.
Hey, the last time the Cardinals came in, it was your first year as the voice of the Bengals, Andy Dalton, A.J. Green, their rookie years, and it was the Jerome Simpson flip the cards in that great play, and they will need something spectacular like that from their young receivers. It is without Ross and A.J. They're how young are they? Well, let's see. Larry Fitzgerald caught his first pass in 2004 when Stanley Morgan Jr. was 8 and Damian Willison, Odd and Tate both 7. So they're going to have to get some. They're going to have to get some inspired play from some of these young guys.
Larry Fitzgerald still going strong for the Cardinals. Last week he moved into second place in NFL history in career catches, behind only Jerry Rice. The Bengals' offensive line is coming off a rough game on Monday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Andy Dalton was sacked a career high 8 times in that game. What can the Bengals do to help this offensive line?
Humor me, Hoardy. I know you think I overdo the run a little bit, but they are on pace to have the fewest rushes by a team in a full season since the merger. So I'm just looking for a little balance, and I think Jim Turner and Zac Taylor are too. Talking to them after practice, after the walkthrough on Wednesday, they mentioned that at least Jim Turner did, the offensive line coach, that we've learned a tough lesson against Pittsburgh. Not a 25 step back and throw it team. So they're looking for balance. Probably the best way to help their offensive line. If there's any week to do it, I think I say this every week, but I think this one it's staring right at you. The Cardinals have given up 3 100-yard rushes this year. Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and Chris Carson from Seattle. And then they're ranked. They're down at the bottom of all defensive categories. And you'd feel like that this is at home, coming off that 8-sack game. They're going to be very committed to protecting Andy. And you would think that Joe left, Joe right, and Joe up the middle.
Hard to disagree with the need for balance, especially when you have a weapon like Joe Mixon and you're without A.J. Green and John Ross. The Bengals have struggled to stop the run. They're giving up 143 a game. The Cardinals even worse, 146.5. If the Bengals are able to move the ball and get into the red zone, if they're going to win this game, they've got to get touchdowns, not field goals, not no scores. They've driven into the red zone 11 times this year and scored 3 touchdowns. That does not work.
Yeah. No, it's there's only one team that's been worse, Miami, and you don't want to be mentioned in any sentence with Miami, and the team above them, who's been almost as bad, Arizona. So to me, it's been and especially when they've come, Hoardy, they've come in the first half of games when they've really had a chance to put their foot in the ground and get going. In Seattle, it happened it happened after a big turnover. It happened in Pittsburgh after a big turnover. They couldn't get a touchdown. And the sack and strip came when it looked like they were going to go in at the end of the half, and it was a 3-0 game, and it looked like they may get in at 7-3 with a lead. So it's not so much getting it. It's when it happens in the game, the body language, you can tell when they don't get in. And I tell you what, Arizona coming on the road, probably the same mindset at 0-3-1. What's going to happen next? I mean, what bad is going to happen next? If the Bengals can get in there and punch it in with maybe a draw to Mixon or a floater to Tate, or maybe a guy flipping into the end zone, then you see Arizona's body sagging, thinking about that long trip back home.
We'll see if the Bengal who floats into the end zone can nail the dismount, much like Jerome Simpson did back in 2011. The Cardinals 3-16-1 since the start of last year. The Bengals are favored at home. We'll see if they get the job done at Paul Brown Stadium. For Geoff Hobson and our photographers Marissa Contepelli and Sina Grivey, I'm Dan Hoard. Thanks for checking out Bengals Breakdown here on Bengals.com.